Hello, my name is Nour Issa. I'm running for the presidency of the QM. I've held a CSR position for a year in the QM in the past, and then went on to be the Flux sub-convener, head of that club night, and the Communicate online editor. And I'm in second year English literature and maths.
Great, thanks for coming in. So, what are your thoughts on the previous QMU president Jack's term, and what would you develop from his term, or what would you do differently?
See, I'm quite good friends with Jack, and I remember when he was elected. I feel like he has definitely laid a lot of groundwork for the stuff that I want to do now, and a lot of that wouldn't have been possible without his work. I feel like he still hasn't managed to achieve absolutely everything that he wanted to, and that's a shame, but it's a part of the job. Everyone going into it should expect not to be able to do everything that they set out to. But yeah, I feel like the changes to the identity and culture and structure of the QM that I'm looking to implement have been greatly helped by Jack's work in kind of...
So he's laid the groundwork for these.
Yeah, he's laid the identity groundwork at least. Like, the QM has definitely changed in terms of outward perception under him. I think people do see us as slightly more open now, which is very, very, very good. And he's definitely enabled my work with, say, the Flux subcommittee.
Okay, but it's still not increased engagement with the union greatly. Do you think that your measures to, for example, politicise the union?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how is this going to be? How is this going to function? The politicising of the union.
So I thought about this for a great deal, and it remains to be seen how well this will work. It is a very experimental idea, I grant that, but the best idea I've come up with so far has been to create a new committee, campaigns committee, as a fifth committee in the union, in which students will be able to come as they come to events committee, as they come to publications, and voice whatever campaigns or debates they want to see on, and enact student activism within the union with the union's support if it gets major traction within that committee.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and I feel like that would definitely bolster student engagement, because it's not a need that's currently served by any institution on campus. No institution on campus, major institution, will support a student campaign, a student activism. There's been a lot of neutrality and inertia on campus in my time here, in my year and a half. And there are lots of people, especially now after Brexit and Trump, who feel, what can I do as an individual? What can I do to stop this? I don't like this. What can I do? As an individual, you can't do much. You're not going to write a groundbreaking treatise on why Trump is bad that no one has read 1,000 times before.
Right. Okay.
So the union should be a place where they can do that.
Okay. So, in terms of making the union kind of a space for film screenings,
yeah,
exhibitions, quote-unquote arty or club nights, things like that, how's the QMU going to contend with institutions like the CCA or the art school, these kind of spaces that are already established?
Yeah, I feel like the major factor there which will play to our benefit is the fact that mainly the fact that we are geographically in the West End as opposed to those institutions which are in the city centre. So we can serve the needs of the University of Glasgow students without them having to go to the centre. We become a cultural hub specifically on campus. I believe I said that in my manifesto. It's a way in which students can engage with culture while remaining within the West End, not having to go out of their way, not having to go out of the sphere of their...
So do you hope to work with things like Sub-City and student societies on campus to create that kind of thing, or how's this
the third point on my manifesto is outreach, and I feel like engaging with, I would lean very heavily on whoever becomes the next VP Club and Socks on this end of things. I feel like engaging with clubs and societies and institutions such as Sub-City on campus, like for the Flux Club Night, we did try to engage with Sub-City quite a lot with partial success.
Okay.
for the first part of that club night.
And
To kind of get that off the ground, because clubs and societies will catalyse the student engagement. If a club gets involved and they bring 30 people to say an exhibition, that will create a snowball effect in which more students will be engaged.
Okay, and
necessarily part of that.
so then your manifesto makes mention of a creation of a paid PR position.
Yes.
What is this
social media position?
Right. Okay. So what is this going to do that the events coordinator of the QM doesn't already do? How is this going to be, different from
currently
what already exists?
Currently,
And especially if you're talking about the kind of snowballing effect of student engagement.
Yeah.
Is this
no, that's a good point. I'll grant you. Like from the outside looking in, it seems as though everything is kind of covered by events management.
Right.
That seems clear. Everything works. From having been a CSR and having worked on Flux subcommittee, I can say that the way in which events management is structured currently doesn't lend itself very well to an intense focus on PR and social media. It is there, the job gets done, but for example, like Kat, our events manager, and her assistant, they do not have the time between everything that they do to focus heavily on social media and PR. They do it. They do a good job of it, considering that they've got all these other things on. But creating a paid position would lend us the outreach that we need to engage with students.
Okay,
to get all this stuff done.
Do you think that the creation of another paid position in the QMU is wise, given the financial difficulties of the QMU in the past? They made a loss of over £1,000, £100,000 from 2014 to 2015. And I guess in a broader sense, like, how are you going to ensure the financial viability of the union?
So to answer that first point, the creation of a paid PR position I see as a necessary trade-off. We have another person on payroll, sure, that does take costs away. But if that person, say, at a minimum, increases our student engagement, increases people through the door for every event at a minimum by 10, 20%, say that's an extra, say that's an extra at least 30, 40 people in the door for every event that we do. That would make us our money back extremely quickly, based on, we have another person on payroll, but there's a global profit on that, in that system.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But increasing and more widely solving the QM's financial troubles. The reason why I'm focusing on changing the identity and image of the QM, it's not explicitly trying to solve the financial problem, it's trying to solve it by first enacting structural change, and then I believe people will follow through the doors. People will follow if it seems like a more open, more cool place.
So you plan to bring more money in by changing the image of the union, by
changing the image and internal structures, yes.
And that's the
main thrust of my thing, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
What specific things would you plan to do as part of the campaigns committee? You mentioned student activism, and obviously that's becoming increasingly important, but can you give us some specifics of how that would work?
So I was given a good example of how this could be beneficial in a major way to the QM and to the wider student population. Say there is a pro-abortion march happening in Glasgow. I think this happened maybe a week ago. Say there is a pro-abortion march in Glasgow. Say the majority of QM members are looking to fight that and stage a counter-demonstration. Say they are. Currently, they would have to organise outside of the union, outside of the institution of the QM. They can ask people who are friends in the QM if they would like to get involved. Sure, they send along the group, but it's not the QM doing it. Under campaigns, you would be able to, say, go to the women's officer of campaigns committee, because you would have different officer positions. The women's officer who would be responsible for issues surrounding women's issues, because I am not a woman, I cannot make that judgment, and I wouldn't want to. So they would be able to go to the women's officer and say, hey, we want to stage a counter demonstration, and then if there is sufficient interest in staging that counter demonstration, that women's officer would organise members of the campaigns committee who were interested to get other people interested and involved and organize that counter demonstration from within the QM, and it would be the QM's counter demonstration. When I said earlier that the new committee was my best idea, that initially came out of an idea to do this under CNC, the current Campaigns and Charities Committee, because technically right now it is under their remit. But the problem with that is, if you had a Campaigns and Charities Committee that was increasingly politicized, you would have that problem. But separating the two committees, I feel, creating a new one, would divide the people who went to campaigns and charities for political campaigns and for charity work and for elephant in the room and say all these mental health services, student support. You would get a committee where if you were more interested in student support, welfare, mental health, you would go to charities committee and elephant in the room. If you were more interested in political activism and staging debates and hosting speakers, you would go to campaigns committee. And by that division, you create far more of a focus on each respective committee's remits than if you just had them all functioning under one committee.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Okay. I think is that us. Okay. Great. Thanks, Nour. Thanks for coming.
No worries. Thank you.